Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are not just, analyzing a document. We are strapping in for what feels like a full-on corporate espionage film.
It really does.
The source material you sent us is just incredible. It reads, it really reads like the script for a high-octane thriller. It details this global conspiracy woven through the very fabric of one of the world's most powerful tech giants.
It's a phenomenal piece of narrative construction, honestly. The writer, Swapnil, has given us this intense, deeply personal story of survival against systemic corruption.
Right.
Our mission today is to dive deep into NexusCorp, following the journey of Mira Thompson as she uncovers and fights, well, a world-altering surveillance project codenamed Specter.
Exactly. This isn't some theoretical dive. This is a kinetic experience. We have a complete emotional and narrative arc here, chronicling a fight that starts with betrayal, moves through espionage and immense personal sacrifice, achieves a momentary triumph.
And then snaps right back into a terrifying cliffhanger.
Yes. It's an incredible ride.
For you, the learner, this is just a perfect study in the architecture of a conspiracy. You get to see how power consolidates, how integrity is tested, and the catastrophic personal cost of standing up to absolute, unconstrained control.
And it has everything. We have high-level corporate drama, fatal betrayals, and this chilling realization that one corporation might be able to control reality itself.
The stakes could not be higher.
Not at all. So let's keep our eyes on the key players as we move through this narrative. We have Mira Thompson, our anchor and protagonist.
Then there's the principled mentor, Rajiv Das.
And the deeply ambiguous and honestly often unnerving ally, Samir Malhotra.
And of course, the horrifying mechanism at the center of it all, Project Specter.
The question we need to keep at the forefront, the ultimate takeaway is this. When a corporation evolves past market control and gains the ability to manipulate the very perception of truth.
What does power truly look like? And how do you fight something that can delete or rewrite the evidence of its own crimes?
That is the core conflict. Let's start by stepping into the heart of the beast, Chapter 1, and the toxic, high-pressure environment of NexusCorp.
The writer establishes the tone immediately, using the physical environment to reflect the moral climate. We are in the NexusCorp boardroom, and it is a stage for corporate combat.
It's described so vividly, the polished granite, the chrome fixtures gleaming almost painfully under these harsh fluorescent lights.
Right. It's all for show.
It's meant to look expensive and ordered, but the source notes point out that the air is thick with an electric tension that seems to crackle with aggression. It's a razor-edged environment.
And that detail, the faint aroma of expensive, stale coffee. It's this subtle, completely futile attempt to soften the brutality of the place.
That's a great way to put it. It's like corporate gaslighting in a smell.
Exactly. Everything looks refined, but underneath, the conflict is primal. The discussion isn't collaborative. It's described as a cacophony of corporate warfare.
The noise level alone is a character in this chapter. You have egos colliding, hidden agendas, and then, cutting through the din, a thunderous voice erupts. Someone slams a table so hard the water glasses actually tremble.
And what are they shouting?
Privacy risks. That tells you everything you need to know. Whatever project they are discussing is already fundamentally unethical. They're past the ethical line. They are now just dealing with the fallout.
And Mira is watching all of this. She's not completely new to the corporate world, but she's new enough to NexusCorp to still see the red flags.
Yeah, her inner monologue reveals her grounding. She holds on to these principles forged during a major professional pivot years ago when she exposed fraud at a smaller nonprofit.
So she knows the cost of integrity. She's been through it before, just maybe not on this scale.
Not even close.
Oh.
And her gaze, the lens through which we view this scene, it settles on the one person who seems immune to the chaos. Rajiv Das.
Rajiv is presented almost as a mythical figure of integrity in this toxic world. His calm, steady demeanor stands in direct, stark contrast to the room's turbulence. He's the moral compass that Mira desperately needs in this moment.
When he finally speaks, his voice is low, measured, but completely dominant. The source notes that his words slice through the noise with surgical precision. He doesn't waste time on the PR spin or the minor legal risks.
He bypasses the ethics debate entirely and uses the word that defines the entire conspiracy.
Control.
Control, he states unequivocally, transparency is critical, but let's not deceive ourselves. This isn't about ethics, it's about control.
That single word reframes the entire purpose of NexusCorp's operations in Mira's mind. It shifts the discussion from compliance to absolute unchecked power.
And this is where it gets personal.
He leans in. lowers his voice, giving Mira a specific, chilling, and immediate warning. Stay cautious, Mira. Not everything is as it seems here.
And that's the beginning of her paranoia. It's designed to isolate her immediately. The final thought we get from Chapter 1 is the seed of doubt that will plague her for chapters to come.
What if he isn't warning me about them? What if he's warning me about himself? It just brilliantly foreshadows the immense complexity of trust when power is absolute.
And before she can even process that ambiguity, before she can even seek Rajiv out again to ask what he meant,
We get the sudden, violent narrative shock of Chapter 2.
yes, the brutal blow. Rajiv Das is dead. The official narrative is suicide. This is where the cinematic detail of Swapnil's writing really pays off, because the scene is designed to scream foul play, not despair.
Oh, absolutely. The details are agonizingly specific. Mira is led into his office, which is now unnaturally still. The silence is aggressive.
And on the floor, there's the shattered photo frame, broken shards of glass catching and reflecting the office light in sharp, painful angles.
It's a broken memory reflecting a broken reality.
Mm.
It's so poetic, but so visceral.
And you have the sensory evidence that tells a different story. There's the stale coffee, yes, but also the faint, unsettling chemical scent lingering in the air.
That scent, which makes her stomach churn, is the immediate and undeniable red flag. It's the visual and olfactory confirmation that this wasn't a man overwhelmed by corporate stress.
No, this was a calculated silencing.
It transforms his death from a tragedy into a code. Mira realizes she is now standing in the middle of a war zone, and Rajiv's ending is her desperate, decodable warning. This forces her immediately into the next phase, decoding the puzzle.
Exactly. She knows the stakes, and she knows she's racing against time before the corporation notices her heightened interest.
So she throws herself into Rajiv's digital footprint. The files are encrypted, labeled with these cryptic titles that send a chill down her spine. Specter, ciphertext.
Names that mean nothing yet, but sound terrifyingly abstract.
Right. But the personal key to everything is the hidden folded note secreted beneath his keyboard. When she unfolds it, she sees his familiar, precise handwriting, but the words are just devastating.
The truth is buried deep. Trust no one, not even yourself.
That last part, not even yourself, it's truly masterful psychological warfare. It's immediately imposed upon her by her late mentor. Why would he say that?
It forces her into immediate isolation and paranoia, making her question her own perception, her memories, and her loyalty in an environment where objective truth is already highly compromised.
It's brilliant. But the digital files, they start to provide some clarity. She finds a journal entry that confirms the gravity of the project.
Yeah, he wrote, they call it Specter, a project cloaked in darkness. Even I can't see its full scope, but it's dangerous. Too dangerous. I've gone too far, and they know it.
So they confirm Specter is an entity, not a typo. It's real.
And his death wasn't in vain. It was the ultimate necessary sacrifice to ensure she started digging. Mira's initial professional resolve hardens into this deep moral obligation. His sacrifice is a debt she must repay.
But as she starts operating outside the lines, she immediately draws scrutiny, and that scrutiny arrives in the form of Samir Malhotra, a character defined by his unsettling proximity.
He's a fascinating character.
The initial encounter is perfect. It feels like a carefully choreographed dance. Samir is disarmingly charming, but there's something fundamentally off about his grin. It's described as being too crafted with surgical perfection.
And he knows her exact coffee order, 2 sugars, dash of cream, and delivers that unsettling line, I pay attention.
It sounds like an intimate compliment, but in the context of NexusCorp, it's a surveillance report. It's a threat.
He shadows her movements over the subsequent days, perpetually available, seemingly always ready with the right anecdote or the convenient explanation. His polish is unnerving. This is not the easy charm of a colleague.
No, it's the calculated precision of an operative.
Exactly.
And the suspicion hits critical mass with the late-night confrontation. Mira is working late, digging through files, when Samir seems to materialize at her office door. He drops the heavy line, the one that tells her he's watching.
Heard you've been asking some interesting questions?
The tension in that scene is thick. Mira demands to know how he knows, and his smooth reply, "People talk," doesn't lessen the paranoia. It confirms that the system is watching her, and Samir is either part of that system or acting as a scout.
Which forces Mira to investigate him, and what she finds is a classic corporate cleanup job. His professional history is suspiciously clean, almost surgically scrubbed.
But buried deep in some obscure legal archives, she finds a single cryptic mention connecting him to a massive corporate scandal NexusCorp had quietly buried years prior.
This is the genius of the narrative structure here. The lack of information is the information. His history isn't clean, it's laundered.
That's a great way to put it.
This confirms he's not just a charming executive, he is a deep-seated player with experience in NexusCorp's cover-ups. And this ambiguity, this unresolved tension, whose side was he truly on, is what keeps the emotional stakes so high. She needs him, but trusting him might be fatal.
And as she digs deeper, the cage around her professional life tightens. We move into the next phase where the professional warfare escalates dramatically.
Her recent promotion, which should offer safety and status, actually becomes a liability. It's a gilded cage, forcing her deeper into the institutional structure she is trying to dismantle.
The atmosphere is just oppressive. The polished corridors are pulsing with an unsettling undercurrent, and every forced smile hides a potential threat.
And the company is using her success against her. They've put this massive spotlight on her, making her a much easier target for internal sabotage. This immediately reignites her existing rivalry with Arjun.
The history with Arjun is critical context. 6 months prior, during a disastrous product launch, Arjun labeled her reckless. She retaliated by meticulously exposing his failure to secure mandatory client approvals.
So she won that round, but solidified his deep-seated animosity. This isn't just a clash of personalities. It's a professional vendetta fueled by massive, humiliating loss.
And this rivalry culminates in the high society corporate gala, a classic setting for dramatic confrontation. The ballroom is dripping with opulence golden light, expensive crystal, creating a facade of refined sophistication that barely conceals the underlying professional warfare.
And Arjun chooses his moment carefully. He approaches her mid-toast, delivering what sounds like a compliment, but is actually a cruel, challenging question.
Tell me, do you truly shine, or have you simply cast everyone else into darkness? He is publicly accusing her of being a ruthless climber who achieves success by stepping on others.
And Mira's response is ice cold. She handles the collective scrutiny with a perfect blend of ice and silk. She fires back, ensuring the entire room hears her calculated analysis of the corporate structure.
She says, I always found that true darkness is where some people feel most comfortable lurking, waiting, never quite willing to step into the light.
Oof. It's a verbal dismantling that briefly wipes the confident smirk off Arjun's face, replacing it with pure, naked anger.
And then, the deliberate warning. The moment the crowd drifts away, he leans in and whispers venomously, confirming his role in the conspiracy and the immense danger she is facing.
You're playing a dangerous game, Mira. Specter isn't just another project, it's a pit, and you're falling deeper with every move you make.
That moment confirms that her professional rivalry with Arjun is actually just the surface layer of a much deeper, more fatal conspiracy. He knows about Specter, and he is trying to scare her off.
But the true, horrifying scope of Specter, the project that Rajiv died to warn her about, only becomes clear when Samir finally loses his composure and reveals the extent of his own grief and fear.
Chapter 5. Samir is completely rattled. The overpolished charm is gone, replaced by visible, desperate tension. He guides her into a dimly lit storage room, away from the watchful eyes of the NexusCorp building. It feels like a high-stakes confession booth.
He shows her the recording from Rajiv, and this is the core plot point that elevates the entire narrative from a corporate thriller to a global catastrophe. Rajiv's voice, raw with fear, defines the project.
Specter isn't just spyware. It's a global surveillance network microphones, embedded in every device, cameras in every conceivable corner.
It is total information saturation. Every financial transaction, every whisper, every private moment, nothing is sacred.
But surveillance is only half the terror. The most chilling detail, the ultimate concept that Swapnil introduces here, is the functionality that makes Specter unique and absolutely devastating.
It doesn't just monitor.
It can actively rewrite data.
Let's pause here, because this is the analytical core of the entire narrative. Rewriting data means Specter is not merely an intelligence-gathering tool. It's an engine of reality manipulation. This moves beyond traditional espionage and into, well, ontological control.
I mean, think about the implications for governance. If an election result is compromised, that's bad. But if the official, verified, blockchain-secured record of that election can be instantly rewritten to show the preferred outcome.
There is no appeal. There is no proof of the original crime. The crime never happened, according to the official record.
Exactly. And the same applies to corporate decisions. Imagine a hostile takeover attempt. If Specter can instantaneously alter the financial records, board minutes, and legal authorizations to fabricate a paper trail confirming the preferred decision was made 6 months ago.
Who can refute it? The history of the company and its financial reality is simply what NexusCorp decides it is at any given moment.
And most terrifyingly, it applies to personal histories. If Mira's past actions, say, exposing the fraud at the nonprofit, could be rewritten to show she was actually the perpetrator of the fraud.
Her integrity vanishes. All her achievements could be instantly erased or repurposed against her. Reality ceases to be fixed. It becomes malleable, controlled by the person holding the Specter terminal. This is absolute, unchallengeable control.
And this is why Samir finally cracks. The revelation isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. He confesses that his sister, Araini, had tried to warn him about the project before she mysteriously disappeared.
His fear is rooted in guilt and loss.
He shows Mira Araini's worn notebook, containing the bold, defining note. Specter isn't a tool, it's a weapon. That shared grief solidifies their tentative alliance. Samir stops being the ambiguous operative and becomes a human being driven by the need for redemption.
And the evidence starts flowing, but the danger escalates instantly. Mira meets Akash in the silence of a nearly deserted parking garage.
Akash, a builder of Specter, is now a repentant shadow of his former self. He admits he was fooled, believing it was just advanced analytics before seeing the true, horrifying application.
He provides the crucial technical documents and a USB drive, the hard evidence needed to start unraveling the conspiracy. But this act of defection seals his fate.
The terrifying explosive climax of Chapter 6, the sound of aggressive screeching tires shatters the quiet of the garage. Akash realizes the immediate consequence of his actions.
They're here! His urgent warning to Mira is his final act of atonement.
And Mira drives away, forced to witness the horrifying tableau in her rearview mirror. Akash's car, cornered, veering violently off the road, erupting into a monstrous fireball.
This is the moment the narrative underscores the lethal efficiency of NexusCorp. They are instant, fatal, and utterly unforgiving. Mira knows she is next.
That scene is the definitive line in the sand. Mira is now fighting for survival, and she is entirely reliant on the tenuous bond she has with Samir.
And because of the trauma they just witnessed, Mira immediately forces the test of trust in Chapter 7. She demands to know why Samir didn't mention Araini earlier. There is no room for ambiguity now.
His response is brutally honest, and critically, it's rational in this environment. He says, "Because I didn't fully trust you, and I'm still not completely certain."
He admits his fear, which actually makes him more trustworthy. In a world of calculated lies, calibrated doubt is the only form of truth.
Mira understands this, so she tests him. She outlines a fabricated, incomplete plan to leak information to a specific journalist, watching his physical reaction, his eyes, his breathing. She's looking for the tell that confirms him as a double agent.
And he passes the test. That evening, their alliance solidifies into a powerful, emotional bond. Samir presents her with his sister's bracelet, a powerful, tangible symbol of personal loss. He tells Mira that Araini was wearing it the day she disappeared.
This act transforms him from a reluctant operative into a man driven by profound grief and shared purpose. The bracelet becomes a physical representation of the debt they both owe.
Now aligned, they decode Akash's USB drive, revealing the full astronomical scope of Specter. The documents implicate NexusCorp not just in corporate espionage, but in global manipulation silencing dissent, manipulating electoral processes, controlling entire nations.
It moves far beyond market dominance into geopolitical engineering.
But while Mira is assembling the physical evidence, NexusCorp is executing psychological warfare against her, designed to make the evidence irrelevant before it's even public. Chapter 8 details the systemic destruction of her professional identity.
This is such a crucial element of corporate corruption, destroying the messenger, not just challenging the message.
Yes. Mira's career was built on integrity breakthrough designs, high-level security protocols. Now these achievements are weaponized against her.
It starts subtly, the way these things always do. Rhea Malik's formal, stiff tone. Sophia Graves offering those awkward, quick nods that avoid eye contact.
The break room, once a normal shared space, becomes a war zone of silent judgment laced with unspoken accusations. Mira stops going in entirely.
The psychological pain is immense because the attacks target her core value, competence. She overhears the calculated lie being circulated. "I heard she's been hoarding credit for other people's work."
And the calculated reply, "She's always seemed calculating."
Years of meticulously built reputation, dedication, transparency are wiped out by manufactured certainty and insidious whispers. This is Specter's power at the human level, controlling perception, destroying credibility, and making her sound like an unstable, paranoid operative before she even speaks.
Mira is left reeling, questioning her own sanity. Had her value always been this fragile? It's the ultimate corporate gaslighting. They are rewriting her reality one whisper at a time.
The conspiracy continues to peel back the layers in Chapter 9. Samir hands her Irini's battered folder, which was recovered later, containing the final, shocking warning.
This is the moment the true puppet master is revealed. Irini's note is unambiguous and terrifying. Cyphertech owns NexusCorp. It's worse than we imagine. Watch your back.
NexusCorp is just a subsidiary, a front. Cyphertech is the architect of control.
And this is the tipping point for their relationship. Mira's fury erupts. You should have told me. You let me walk blind into this mess chasing the wrong entity.
The emotional explosion is necessary. She is operating on adrenaline and grief.
Samir's defense is raw and rooted in his sister's disappearance. I didn't know who to trust. Irini was my sister, and they made me doubt even her. The pain on his face reminds Mira that his initial caution was a survival mechanism, not a sign of malice. They are driven by the same loss.
And the conspiracy deepens further in Chapter 10 with the detailed analysis of the main villain, Sanjay Malhotra, tracing his transformation from an ambitious, egotist professional to a corrupted figure under Cyphertech's influence.
Sanjay wasn't born a monster. He was seduced by power. He started as an idealistic creator of security algorithms, the very systems that would form the foundation of NexusCorp. He had real, tangible aspirations of ethical computing.
But the sources tell us corporate ambition is a treacherous landscape. Cyphertech targeted him with surgical precision, showing him the unlimited potential of Specter, not as a security tool, but as a mechanism of global dominance.
The narrative traces his moral descent, noting the pivotal email that marks the beginning of his corruption, a deal offering absolute power in exchange for absolute moral surrender. Cyphertech is not merely a collaborator, it is the entity that understands the mechanism of total control, and Sanjay became its willing puppet, pulling NexusCorp's strings from the shadows.
Now that they understand the enemy Cyphertech using Sanjay and NexusCorp as its primary mechanism, centered on the reality rewriting power of Specter, they enter the final high-stakes phase.
The reckoning.
This is where the tension becomes cinematic and relentless, starting with the frantic, high-stakes pursuit in Chapter 11. They are racing against the clock to reach the SentienceX launch event, where Sanjay is planning to unveil the next phase of the conspiracy.
The entire city seems to be roaring around them. The external chaos engines revving, horns blaring, traffic lights blurring, is a perfect mirror for the internal chaos and fear gripping Mira and Samir inside the car. The launch is their final window.
The pressure strips away any remaining professional facade. Mira is pushing him relentlessly. Faster, they're gaining on us.
And Samir is terrified, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, responding only with grunts of fear.
The desperation leads to that explosive dialogue. Mira panicked shouts, "You'll kill us both before they do." And Samir's grim, resigned response confirms their desperate camaraderie. That's the plan.
They are fully committed to a shared destiny, life or death.
Their pursuers are described as hungry wolves in gleaming black SUVs closing the gap. The details keep the tension physical. The screeching tires, the jolt of hitting a curb, the pain in Mira's ribs from being slammed against the door.
And when they reach the underground tunnel entrance, Samir hesitates, calling it a trap. They know the company anticipated their move.
But Mira's decisive response is the only possible way forward.
It's a trap either way. Pick your poison. They swerve into the darkness of the tunnel, resignation cementing their purpose. There is no turning back.
They make it to the SentienceX launch, Chapter 12, the critical stage for the public disclosure. This is where the truth must break through the manufactured reality.
The hall is buzzing investors, journalists, executives, a sea of anticipation. On stage, Sanjay, exuding false confidence, is proclaiming SentienceX as the future and NexusCorp's unwavering commitment to ethical AI.
The irony is nauseating. Meanwhile, Mira is backstage, operating on pure adrenaline against an impossible deadline. Her hands are a blur over the keyboard, needing 1 minute to execute the data package. Her contact, Shivani, is screaming in her earpiece. 30 seconds, tops, before security locks down the network.
Every tick of the clock is a physical weight.
The moment of rupture arrives when Mira hits enter. The massive screens behind Sanjay, meant to display the shining future of SentienceX, instantly switch.
The horrifying truth breaks through. The video begins to play. Raji's final moments, the sterile office, the blood, the undeniable evidence of betrayal and murder. This is the reality NexusCorp killed to hide, now broadcast to the world.
Sanjay's carefully crafted mask shatters instantly. He screams, "Fabricated!" and lies. But it's too late. The collective shock of the crowd is visceral. Journalists, investors, and fellow executives are turning on him, their faces a mixture of disbelief and burning outrage.
The manufactured certainty is overwhelmed by undeniable visual evidence.
And Mira seals the company's fate by patching her voice directly over the PA system, her voice echoing across the now chaotic hall. Her words cement the victory. Lies can't shield you forever, Sanjay. The world knows the truth now.
Sanjay is swarmed by security and dragged away. The truth is out, but the personal price is still pending.
Because the victory is brutally short-lived, we move straight into the emotional devastation of Chapter 13, the ultimate sacrifice.
They are cornered in a dimly lit, damp warehouse. The metallic scent of rust and despair hangs in the air as agents close in. They are pinned down, exposed.
The silence is broken by a sudden, sharp gunshot aimed directly at Mira, and in a devastating act of instinctual redemption, Samir steps into its path.
The emotional weight of this is just immense. Mira is broken, pressing her hands against the wound, asking the desperate question, why? After everything they've been through, after his initial suspicion and caution.
And Samir's final words are heartbreaking and profound, confirming that his alliance was always rooted in his failure to protect his sister. He pulls out Irini's photograph, focusing on his motive.
They took her. I couldn't save her, but I can save you.
He dies with his sister's picture in his hand and her bracelet, the symbol of their alliance, now the only thing linking Mira to him. This act transforms Samir from an ambiguous figure to a martyred hero.
And Mira is left with overwhelming grief, but the fire is renewed. She rises, resolving to finish this war not just for justice, but for him.
That profound personal sacrifice ensures the mission continues. We move now to the transformation and the systemic consequences of the collapse.
The fallout in Chapter 14 is immediate and catastrophic. NexusCorp's collapse is global. Headlines scream betrayal, shareholders are demanding massive answers, and thousands of employees are jobless overnight. The scope of the scandal is beyond comprehension.
And the contagion spreads instantly. Executives across the globe are terrified, whispering, if NexusCorp could fall this spectacularly, who was next? Regulatory bodies dormant for years are suddenly energized by the massive public outcry, demanding systemic change.
The media encapsulates the moral indictment perfectly. The source mentions the prominent headline in TechNet Weekly. When innovation meets corruption, NexusCorp and the ethics of progress.
NexusCorp becomes the global poster child for unchecked, unethical corporate greed.
But Mira, observing the chaos, has the chilling, unsettling realization that this wasn't just the downfall of one company. By exposing NexusCorp, she merely shone a light on a systemic cancer embedded deep within the structure of corporate power. The corruption wasn't an anomaly, it was the mechanism.
And this realization forces a transformation. Mira channels her grief, her fear, and her determination into a new, proactive mission in Chapter 15, the Integrity Alliance. This isn't just a group, it's a commitment to ensuring Samir, Rajiv, and Akash did not die in vain.
The alliance is immediately established as a network of watchdogs and disillusioned insiders, people who understand the system because they were once inside it. It's an organization dedicated to operational integrity and exposure.
And their early success validates their mission. They quickly expose high-profile tech conglomerate devoting millions meant for educational initiatives into lavish luxury perks for top executives. This move establishes the alliance as a real, effective force capable of structural impact.
Mira's first public address solidifies the alliance's purpose. She tells the world, change is a storm, sometimes terrifying. Integrity Alliance isn't just a response to NexusCorp, it's a promise that we will hold power accountable, systematically, relentlessly.
She constantly recalls Rajiv's guiding light, linking her new life as a corporate revolutionary back to his foundational philosophy. True power isn't about control. It's about service.
Her journey is complete. She has moved from being a corporate climber to an institutional revolutionary, but the war, as the source tells us, is far from over.
Because the fight against a systemic cancer doesn't end with the removal of one tumor. The narrative cannot end with a simple, neat victory. This brings us to the final, chilling cliffhanger in Chapter 16.
The setting is quiet. Mira is alone, processing the immense fallout. Then, the sudden email. The subject line, truth is eternal.
And the sender, Samir's old presumed dead account.
The message is immediate confirmation of her deepest fear. The conspiracy survives the collapse of the host company. The text is precise and ominous. The truth is never buried. Follow the trail. Specter was just the first step.
This changes everything. Spectre wasn't the end game. It was merely a prototype, or the first tool developed by Cyphertech. The real mechanism, the architects of control, are still operational.
And the immediate paranoia the email generates is confirmed by the visual cue. Mira glances outside, and silhouetted by the harsh glow of a streetlight at the edge of the street stands a figure still, unnaturally so, as though observing. Then, in the blink of an eye, it vanishes.
Surveillance confirmed, and it's personal.
It's the resonant echo of the danger that defined Rajiv's last moments. And the physical clue is in the metadata of the email. Coordinates pointing to the city's industrial district, followed by the final, chilling message: the fight isn't over.
So Mira knows the conspiracy is alive, shifting, and adapting. Her fight has just transitioned from corporate sabotage to deep geopolitical resistance.
If we synthesize the knowledge gained from this entire intense narrative crafted by Swapnil, we understand the devastating reality of Project Specter, a system that can rewrite verifiable data and manipulate reality itself. We've seen the deep-seated control exerted by Cyphertech, the true puppet master, and we understand the immense human cost. The calculated silencing of Rajiv and Akash, and the profound redemptive sacrifice of Samir, whose ultimate act ensures the truth, however fragile, survives.
But the bigger, most terrifying picture is the one the cliffhanger leaves us with. The mechanism of control is decentralized. The conspiracy survived the collapse of NexusCorp.
The problem is not the corporation. The problem is the ability to fabricate and control reality. That system is still active, still seeking new hosts.
Mira thought she had won the war, only to realize she had simply taken out the first fortress. If the greatest form of power today is the ability to rewrite history and control public perception, and those systems survive the destruction of one entire empire, then the fight for objective reality is perpetual.
And the entire narrative begs this question for you, the listener, as you navigate the constant onslaught of information and crisis in the real world. Next time you encounter a major scandal, a major news story, or a widely accepted fact, ask yourself,
is this the truth, or is this the reality that someone powerful, an architect like Cyphertech, wanted us to see? The corporate war for reality is apparently just beginning.
A deeply unsettling thought, but an essential tool for survival in a world of manufactured certainty. This deep dive has shown us that the fight for integrity is the most high-stakes game in the world.